Hello and welcome back to my channel. I had a comment a few videos ago from Sophia Antonia, hello to you, just asking me about my own journey to minimalism and how I made the decision and sort of what sparked it. So this isn't really something I've thought about a whole lot, so this was a very good question, and I've been spending the last sort of couple of days really thinking about it. So for me, it would have started a couple of years ago, and I think like all life-changing things, I was in a bit of a bad place. I don't want to go into too much detail, but I wasn't feeling very happy. And it was actually, because I mention this all the time, there's not a video where I haven't talked about this, but I'd gone traveling and I came home to an empty apartment, and it was very weird and bad. That's how I'm going to describe it. It was weird and bad. So this was the first time that I was living in a situation where, you know, if I didn't go out the door, I wouldn't see anyone. Tied in with this, I got a bill for my TV license, and I decided that, you know, I don't watch the TV enough to pay, because it's like £140, it's not cheap. And I decided that I was just gonna get rid of my TV because I don't use it, and whenever I watch stuff I usually watch it on my laptop anyway. So I had no TV and I was living alone, and this was sort of the perfect conditions for me to start asking some questions, I guess, because there was no external influences. I was so used to just being like told stuff and having to conform to a certain way of living or doing what other people wanted. Not that I was sort of like a pushover, I'm not saying that, I just mean that we're always influenced by, you know, information that we're getting constantly. That's how we learn, but sometimes it's not always a good thing. So I was in a situation where there weren't many influences around me, and I saw a video about the dairy industry, and it changed everything for me, I think, in that moment, because I decided to go vegan then. And I had loved animals my whole life, and even as a child I really wanted to be a vegetarian, but vegetables like made me gag. I couldn't eat vegetables. I mean, I'm sure I could have done, but I didn't. I wouldn't eat them, and my parents wouldn't let me be vegetarian because they made the point, and you know, it's fair enough because, you know, they're just looking out for me. But if I'm not going to eat vegetables and I'm not going to eat meat, then what exactly am I going to eat? And yes, there are lots of things that I could have eaten, but let's not dig up the past. Anyway, they wouldn't let me, but it was something I'd always been quite interested in because it seemed wrong to me. But you know, you get told that it's just the way to do it so many times, and then you believe it. So I went vegan. And it was the first thing that I'd ever done that would be considered like an alternative lifestyle. I'd always been a conformer, always, to the point where I have memories of me as a child, like asking questions about the correct way to do things. So like, what is the correct order to put your clothes on in the morning? What's the, like, how many times should you shower in a week? Like, the thing that I never really understood is that there were some things in life that people would tell you. They would tell you that you had to brush your teeth twice a day, or they would tell you that you needed to have, you know, 5 portions of fruit and veg a day. And then there were some things that they wouldn't tell you. There were some things there was no rules for, and those things just used to wind me up because I was an only child as well. So I had no one, I couldn't see anyone else living their life, so I didn't know if I was doing it right, and doing it right was very important to me. So I used to ask lots of questions and seek out the way that I thought was the correct way of doing it. So it's not even as if I was someone who, you know, was just passively being affected by the world. I was seeking it out. I wanted to know, you know, how is everyone else doing it and how can I do it the same way? So when I went vegan, it was, you know, my first taste of being different, of swimming upstream, and I felt for the first time that I had been wrong. Not that I had never been wrong my entire life, I mean that I was bloody stubborn and I hated being wrong, and even now there are certain aspects of me where I don't like being wrong. But I learned that not only was I wrong, but I was so wrong. I didn't, you know, I told myself that eating meat was, you know, fine, that eating dairy was fine, And then I just been shown this evidence, and I could see how wrong I was, and I was catastrophically wrong. It's not fine. It was not fine at all. I really wish that I could map this back to something other than seeing animals in pain, because it feels like that I got something good from it, and that feels a bit weird. But yeah, I sort of started enjoying the feeling of realizing that I had been wrong my entire life, because I started to unravel who I was. You know, I feel like, in terms of veganism, I feel like I've always been a vegan, but I just ate meat and dairy. like that's who I should be, but I had to shed something. I had to carve away that social influence to find that in me. Every single thing in the world, I just took as a given, and then I started to realize that you can't do that, because I don't want to live a life that's just based on tradition or the way other people have done it, or the way, you know, I've seen my family do it or my friends do it, because that's not progress in any way. That's just, you know, being part of the crowd. And it's weird that was so important to me as a child, but now I realize that the important thing is sort of asking yourself important questions and coming up with your own answers. And your own answers could be different to everyone else's answers, and that's fine. You know, that's being different people. So the next key moment in my minimalist journey was when I was watching a Brittany Taylor video, and it was her and her boyfriend Connor, and they were doing a video about jealousy. And she said something that, I can't remember word for word what it was, and I did actually try and find the video so I could at least like tag it down below, but I can't find it because it was just a tiny moment in a video that I don't think was necessarily on jealousy, but it was jealousy was mentioned. And she said that whenever she feels jealous, she acknowledges that it's just a symptom of her insecurity, and she is thankful that that the insecurity has been highlighted so that she can then work on it. It was something like that. And this to me was like life-changing, just this very small bit of this longer video, because I've gone through my entire life thinking that, you know, stuff just happened to me, and I couldn't help the way I felt about things, because, you know, if I feel jealous, then it's because someone's made me feel jealous, or if I'm angry, it's because someone's made me angry. It's always, you know, I'm just reacting to my external environment. There's nothing. It was as if I was completely passive in it, and I wasn't aware of this about myself. I wasn't aware there was another way to do it. But then I realized exactly how much control I have over my emotions, over my life. So I realized in that moment that not only was it important that I ask myself questions about the way that I live my life, and live a life that I actually agree with and that represents me, but that I have so much power over it. And it's not just, you know, we pick goals like, you know, I really want to get that job, or I want to have enough money to do this, or I really want to go there. But the idea that you could have internal goals, the idea that you can overcome an emotion that isn't serving you, was completely revolutionary to me. And no one had ever said anything like that to me before. And then it was like from that moment there that I realized how little of the life I was living was actually serving me. And there was some downside to this too, because I started decluttering majorly, and this was all good stuff. I was like trimming all the crap out of my life. That was really, really important. But then I trimmed so much of who I was away that I was left kind of not really knowing who I was anymore, because my identity was so tied up in external things or the way I lived my life. And I was living my life differently, and I was making different decisions, and there was this moment where I was kind of like, I don't really know who I am. I mean, I didn't before minimalism either, really. So I was sort of a little bit stuck with how to define exactly who I was. And it kind of meant that I had to grow a new me out of it, which again was just asking questions. this whole thing just been asking myself questions. So really working out what I care about, who I would like to be, what I want to do, how would I qualify my life as a successful life. That was sort of the thing that I started to really think about. So that's sort of most of the bigger concepts with minimalism and how I got there. But in terms of my actual stuff, I really didn't find it very difficult to get rid of things because my attitudes had been so redefined and I had become such a changed person that it really didn't matter to me anymore. I really feel like my journey to minimalism was like growing up, and I feel like I can see things for what they are. So, you know, I'll look at an advert and I can see how I'm being manipulated or how they're attempting to manipulate me. It's like I can see further and I can understand more. And I think that's it's really important. If I compare myself now to the way I was saying that I thought as a child, so being really bothered about doing things correctly and about being right and doing things the right way, and defining right as, you know, the way that most people do it, I would say that I've learned that there are no rules. The only rules that you should live by are your own rules. And it's really important to pick apart anything that you've been told, because there are some things that are just tradition, there are some things that are just, you know, the way that your family do it, the way that your friends do it. I think that's roughly my journey to minimalism. It feels a little bit like I've just been babbling on for 20 minutes. But I'm gonna edit it and it's gonna flow really nicely. That's the plan. I don't know how. I've been talking for quite a long time. So yeah, wish me luck. Let's see if we can make this into a succinct and logical video, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you very much for watching, and thank you, Sophia, for your question, and I will see you very soon. Hope you're having a lovely day. Goodbye.